In this video, you're going to be learning the 7 essential money lessons you could benefit from today that are not taught in school. So tune in, hit the like and subscribe button. I spent a ton of time putting this video together, so I'd appreciate that. So let's jump right into it. Every year, we have a bunch of kids who graduate from high school or college. And let's face it, they may be taught how to get a job, but there's a massive knowledge gap when it comes to saving and investing. But here's the problem. Most people learn about money the hard way, and that's by making mistakes. So my goal in this video is to share mistakes that I've made or that I'm aware of so that you won't have to go through the same stuff. And that means I'll be covering 7 essential money lessons you should have learned in school but probably didn't. Number 1 is understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt. Debt by itself isn't inherently good or evil. Think of it more as a tool in your financial arsenal. When used correctly and calculatedly, you can use the borrowed money today to purchase assets that can continue to appreciate in value over time, or that can pay you. Something like investing in property or businesses will be how you can accomplish that. So an example of good debt would be, let's say you bought a $100,000 investment property using a mortgage of $80K. That means you put $20K of your own money down on the property. And let's say that same property returns you a profit of $1K per month. That means how much you make versus everything that you spend on that property and what your bottom line is, that's the profit, right? And you make $1,000 a month and that makes $12,000 profit a year. Since you decided to use a mortgage to help fund your purchase, your cash on cash return is a whopping 60%. How did I get to that number? Basically, you add up the total annual profits that you made that year and divide it by the amount of money that you put down to make that profit even possible, and that's the $20,000. You'll effectively have made your down payment back in 2 years by using debt as a tool. Now, on the other hand, an example of bad debt would be when you rack up a ton of debt on your credit card that you can't pay back by the end of the month, and now you're paying a monthly interest on it. The problem with that is not only are you paying back the money that you spent on the credit card, but now you have to pay an interest rate on the remaining balance, which means less money for you and less money that you have to spend on things that you need. However, this doesn't mean all credit card debt is bad. It just means it's really important to know the differences between how debt can be used for and against you. That way you can use it more as a financial tool in your arsenal rather than something that just hurts you. And that leads us to the next tip, which is how to build a good credit score. So let's talk about credit card debt in more detail and how that translates to building a good credit score. The reason why having a good credit score is important to everyone is because later on in your life, you'll probably need to take out a big loan for a big purchase, like a house or a car. And the way that you do that is by building up a good credit score, because lenders will look at that and determine if they want to give you that loan based on your credit history. So how do you build good credit? I'm glad you asked. First, you pay bills on time. That includes rent, utilities, credit card bills, school loans, car notes, so that you don't have any delinquencies that appear on your credit report, which can ultimately hinder your ability to get a loan. Second is to keep your credit card balance low. This goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Try not to max out your credit cards or have too much outstanding debt on it if you cannot pay it off before your monthly payment is due, so that you don't have to pay any interest on it. But you can also collect the points that you rack up on the credit card. Third, don't open too many new lines of credit at once. This can be a red flag for lenders, and that can lower your credit score because you're basically giving them a signal that you need a lot of credit lines and need to borrow a lot of money, and that as a result can hurt your credit score. Fourth, it's best to check your credit report from time to time to confirm the accuracy of it. This way you can catch any errors dragging your score down and get ahead of it. Follow these simple tips and it'll help you build a good credit score, which is essential for financial success. Now to the next tip, which is around building a good budgeting habit. One of the essential money lessons that most people never learn in school is how to budget their finances. Without a budget, it's very easy to overspend and fall into debt. But with a good budget, you can ensure that the money goes to the things that are important to you while still leaving room for savings. One of my favorite quotes that help me put ideas into frameworks is the following phrase: what cannot be measured cannot be improved. So let's talk about how that's relevant to budgeting, and I'm happy to share some actionable tips. It's really important to be able to measure how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. That way you can spot trends. That way you can see what can be improved in terms of the areas that you can start increasing your savings. So it's really important and a really good tactic to start to develop over time, and it becomes a good habit because if you can budget well with your money, that gives you the ability to be more regimented about where you can cut back on spending and that ultimately helps you increase the amount of money that you can invest over time, and that snowballs and it becomes massively impactful in terms of your overall financial state because of just this one thing, which is learning and taking budgeting very serious. So the way that I recommend getting into it is by starting to track your income and expenses for 1 month and then figure it out from there in terms of other time frames. This will give you a really good idea of where the heck your money is going and where you can start cutting back on things. The easiest way to do this is by reverse engineering your previous month's bank statement and then using Excel to compare how much you make versus how much you spend. You should be able to quickly identify expense blind spots such as unnecessary subscription services, excessive entertainment expenses, and if you find services that you don't use, call the businesses up and cancel ASAP. Otherwise, you are literally leaking out money that you could be using otherwise to spend on things you need. Once you have a good understanding of your spending patterns, create a budget strategy that allocates your income towards essential expenses, savings, and debt repayment so that you can maximize your financial situation as best as you could. So be sure to stick to your budget as closely as possible, review it regularly, and make adjustments as necessary. You'll thank yourself for that. See, I'll be the first one to admit it, budgeting isn't the most exciting thing in the world, I get that, but it is an essential money lesson that everyone should learn sooner than later. The next thing that we're going to be talking about goes hand in hand with financial budgeting, and that's this concept and phenomenon called lifestyle inflation. So what is lifestyle inflation? Lifestyle inflation is basically when you start to spend more money only because you start to make more money. So as you continue to grow in your career, you'll most likely get promotions as a result and make more income over time. However, if you start to spend that extra income to keep up with the Joneses or to level up your lifestyle, before you know it, all that extra money you'll be making gets spent when you could have maintained your previous lifestyle and put the extra income towards investments or savings. For example, let's say you make $50,000 a year and you spend $40,000 a year to maintain your lifestyle. Then you get promoted the next year and start making $60,000 a year. That's a $10,000 raise. If you continue to spend $40,000 a year, you'll have an extra $20,000 instead of $10,000 to save or invest. But if you start to spend $50,000 a year to keep up with your new income in terms of your lifestyle, you won't have any extra income left over. So how do you avoid lifestyle inflation? It's actually pretty simple. First, be aware of it and be intentional about how you can combat it. That means whenever you get a raise or a promotion, try to maintain your previous lifestyle if you could and save or invest that extra money instead. Of course, it's okay to spend a little bit of extra money on the things that are important to you, but try not to let lifestyle creep up too much. By avoiding lifestyle inflation, you'll be able to save a lot more money over time, which helps you reach your financial goals quicker. Now let's talk about another essential money lesson, and that's learning about investing in different asset classes. Investing is one of the most important things that you can do for your financial future, but unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of direction on how to do it. That's why it's really important for you to do your research on what asset classes are and how to start investing in them. An asset class is a group of investments with similar characteristics such as risk and reward, and there are many different types of asset classes. Some examples include stocks, bonds, real estate, and commodities. And each asset class has its unique risk to reward, so it's important to understand the pros and cons of each before investing. A diversified portfolio is recommended because it helps to mitigate risk. When you invest in just one asset class, you're essentially putting all of your eggs in one basket. So if that asset class decides to go down, your entire investment portfolio takes a hit. When you diversify your investments across different asset classes, you're spreading out the risk, so if one asset class goes down, the others may still be doing well, which can really help offset the losses in the event of a market downturn. There are a lot of ways to invest in each asset class, but one of the simplest and most popular ways to get started is with index funds. Index funds are investment vehicles that track against a specific market index, such as the S&P 500, which is an index that is comprised of the top 500 companies in the US. But you can also invest in real estate index funds called REITs. Index funds are a great way to invest in a diversified group of stocks without picking and choosing individual companies. So if you're just getting started with investing, definitely look into index funds, look at different asset classes altogether. It's a huge world out there, and the way to start learning about investing and diversifying your risk is by just learning and taking things step by step. Now, naturally, the next topic is going to be around compound interest. Compound interest basically means that you can earn interest not only on your initial investment, but also on the interest that your investment has earned over time. For example, let's say you invest $10,000 at a rate of return of 10%. That means if you make a $10,000 investment, you will get a 10% return on that, which is $1,000. So after year one, you'll have earned $1,000 in interest, so your total investment will now be worth $11,000. But after year two, you'll have earned interest not only on your initial investment of $10,000, but also on the $1,000 in interest you earned in the first year. As a result of that, you'll have earned $1,100 in interest in the second year, and after 2 years, your total investments will be worth $12,100. So after year three, you'll have earned interest on your initial investment of $10,000, plus the $1,000 in interest you earned in year one, plus the $1,100 in interest you earned in year two. As a result, you'll have earned $1,210 in interest in the third year, and after 3 years, your total investment is now worth $13,210 versus $10,000, and that's a profit of $3,210 over the course of 3 years, and that's because of compound interest of 10% on your $10,000 investment. As you can see, compound interest can hugely impact your finances over time. The earlier you start investing, the more time your money will have to grow, so it really is in your best interest to grasp this concept of compound interest. Now let's get into my final and most important tip, and that is to remain curious and committed to learning about financial literacy over the long term. The biggest takeaway I can impart to you is that personal finance is a habit more than anything. It's kind of like going to the gym. When I first started going to the gym, at first it was scary because of how many exercises there are to learn, routines to pick up on, dieting and everything in between. But if you just start and stick with it, over time you'll see that your body starts to transform. Your eating habits start to improve. And subconsciously you begin to optimize your workouts and diet. Before you know it, going to the gym isn't as scary. Improving your finance skills is no different. Having a long-term view of it and thinking of it more as a journey than a skill you need to figure out today will help you in shifting that mindset and make it less overwhelming and easier to commit to. And that's the goal. It's about improving over the course of time, not having some radical change and overnight success. That's not the goal here. The goal is to get better over time and work and focus on the things that you can control. And if you can work on the things that we talked about in this video, that's a great starting point, and it's one of the most important things that you can do for your financial future. There you have it, 7 essential money lessons that you should have learned in school, but probably didn't. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite tip was and drop me a line. Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.